Ever wondered how to make a classic vegetarian Bolognese sauce? Today we're going to unravel the secrets of this Italian culinary gem. Picture this, a sauce so rich and flavorful, it can make any pasta dish come alive. This is Bolognese. Originating from Bologna, Italy, this sauce traditionally uses meat as its star ingredient. But today we're giving it a vegetarian twist. Bolognese sauce, or as the Italians call it, Ragù alla Bolognese, has been warming the hearts and bellies of people since the late 19th century. It's a slow-cooked sauce, one that would typically simmer on the stove for hours, allowing the flavors to develop and deepen. But don't worry, our vegetarian version won't have you waiting all day. The vegetarian Bolognese sauce that we're making today is a beautiful medley of plant-based ingredients, each playing its part to perfection. We'll be using lentils or mushrooms as a substitute for meat, still giving us that hearty texture we love in a Bolognese. Then, we'll be building our sauce on a base of sofrito, a mix of finely chopped celery, carrot, and onion, which forms the backbone of many Italian dishes. We'll be adding tomato paste, wine, and milk, or a plant-based milk of your choice, to lend our sauce its classic richness. Each ingredient is simple, but together, they create something truly special. And the best part? This sauce is incredibly versatile. Use it to top your tagliatelle or layer it in a veggie lasagna. The options are endless. So are you ready to dive into the world of vegetarian Bolognese? Let's get cooking. So what goes into a vegetarian Bolognese sauce? Well, let's dive right in, shall we? The heart of our dish is a meat substitute, and in this case, we have two delicious options: lentils or mushrooms. If you're a fan of a richer, earthier flavor, then mushrooms are the way to go. On the other hand, if you prefer a more traditional texture, lentils are your best bet. Both are packed with protein and fiber, making them perfect for a hearty sauce. Next, we have the sofrito, the aromatic base that forms the backbone of our sauce. This trio of celery, carrot, and onion is finely diced and sweated down to create a flavor-packed foundation. The sofrito lends a natural sweetness to the sauce, balancing out the acidity of the tomatoes, and adding a depth of flavor that's simply irresistible. Now, for the tomatoes, we're using tomato paste. It's concentrated, rich, and adds a beautiful, robust flavor to the sauce. It's also a fantastic source of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant. If you don't have tomato paste, you can substitute it with crushed tomatoes or tomato puree, but remember, the flavor might differ slightly. Then we add a splash of wine. The alcohol cooks off during simmering, leaving behind a complex, fruity undertone. If you're not a fan of wine or prefer to keep the dish alcohol-free, a good quality vegetable broth will do the trick, adding a savory note to the sauce. Finally, a touch of milk or plant-based milk for our vegan friends is stirred in. This may seem unusual, but it's a classic Italian trick to create a rich and creamy sauce. The milk also helps to mellow out the acidity of the tomatoes, resulting in a more balanced flavor profile. If you don't have milk on hand, a small spoonful of sugar can also do the trick. Now that we have our ingredients, it's time to start cooking. The base of any good Bolognese is the sofrito. Now, what is a sofrito, you might ask? It's a simple yet transformative blend of celery, carrots, and onions, finely chopped and gently cooked to release their flavors. This triumvirate of vegetables forms the backbone of our vegetarian Bolognese, infusing it with a depth of flavor that's truly unrivaled. To prepare your sofrito, you'll first need to wash your vegetables thoroughly. Then, using a sharp knife, finely dice the celery, carrots, and onions. Now remember, the smaller the dice, the quicker the vegetables will cook and the more flavor they'll release. So take your time and chop those veggies as finely as you can. Once your vegetables are chopped, it's time to sweat them out. This process is crucial to developing the flavors of your sofrito. Heat a generous glug of olive oil in a large pan over medium heat. Add your sofrito and a pinch of salt. The salt not only seasons your veggies, but also helps draw out their natural moisture, allowing them to sweat without browning. Now, as the veggies cook, you'll notice a beautiful transformation. The onions will become translucent, the celery will soften, and the carrots will lose their harsh bite. This is the magic of sofrito, a humble mix of veggies, slowly cooked to bring out their natural sweetness and depth of flavor. The key here is patience. Let your sofrito cook slowly, stirring occasionally to prevent sticking. You'll want to cook it until it's soft and fragrant but not browned. The goal is to coax out the flavors, not to caramelize the vegetables. This process might take around 15 to 20 minutes, but trust me, it's worth every second. Once your sofrito has reached that sweet spot of softness and flavor, it's done. It's now ready to be the flavorful base of your vegetarian bolognese. This is where the magic truly begins. The sofrito is not just a step in the recipe, but the foundation upon which the rest of the dish is built. With our sofrito ready, we can move on to the next step. Now it's time to add our star ingredient. Whether you're a fan of hearty lentils or savory mushrooms, this is the moment when your dish really starts to take shape. If you're using lentils, you'll want to have them pre-soaked and ready to go. Remember, lentils are a powerhouse of nutrients and they provide that meaty texture we're after in a good bolognese. If mushrooms are more your style, they're a fantastic choice too. They bring a wonderful earthy flavor to the dish and also mimic that traditional bolognese texture. Now, what kind of mushrooms should you use? That's totally up to you. Button mushrooms, cremini, or even a mix of wild mushrooms, they all work wonderfully. Just make sure to chop them finely to resemble the texture of ground meat. Now let's get these ingredients into the pot. If you're using lentils, drain them and add them to the sofrito. Give everything a good stir to combine and let it cook for a few minutes. If you're using mushrooms, add them to the pan and sauté until they've released their liquid and started to brown. It's these simple steps that help to build layers of flavor in our bolognese. As your chosen main ingredient cooks, it's going to soak up all the flavors from the sofrito. This is also a great point to add a bit of seasoning. A pinch of salt and black pepper will do the trick, but feel free to add any of your favorite herbs or spices. Remember, cooking is all about making a dish your own, so don't be afraid to experiment and adjust to your liking. It's your kitchen after all. Now that our main ingredient is cooked, we can start building our sauce. But don't rush this part. Remember, a good bolognese is all about patience and allowing the flavors to develop and meld together. So let's get ready for the next step, and trust me, it's going to be worth the wait. It's time to bring everything together and build our sauce. This is where the magic happens, folks. This is where our humble ingredients transform into that rich, hearty, flavor-packed vegetarian bolognese we all know and love. First, we're going to add our wine. Just pour it straight into the pot with our sofrito and main ingredient. The wine is going to deglaze the pot, picking up all those little bits of flavor that have stuck to the bottom. It's also going to add a depth of flavor that really takes our sauce to the next level. And don't worry about the alcohol content. It's going to cook off as our sauce simmers. Next up is our tomato paste. This concentrated tomato goodness is going to give our sauce that classic bolognese color and a lovely tangy flavor. Just scoop it into the pot and give everything a good stir. You'll see the sauce start to take on that familiar red hue. Isn't it beautiful? Now it's time for our milk or plant-based milk. This is a secret weapon in bolognese sauce. It adds a creaminess that balances out the acidity of the tomatoes and wine. It also helps to mellow out the flavors and bring everything together in perfect harmony. Again, just pour it straight into the pot and stir it through. Finally, we're going to season our sauce. A good pinch of salt and a generous grinding of black pepper should do the trick. But remember, everyone's taste is different, so feel free to adjust the seasonings to your liking. Once everything is in the pot, it's time to let it simmer. This is the most crucial step in building our sauce. The simmering process allows all the flavors to meld together, creating a sauce that is much greater than the sum of its parts. Now, all we have to do is wait for our sauce to finish simmering. So sit back, relax, and let the aroma of your homemade vegetarian bolognese fill your kitchen. Our sauce is simmered and ready. Let's finish it off and serve. Now that our sauce is beautifully thickened with a rich, robust flavor, we can add the final touches. You might choose to add some fresh basil or oregano, depending on your personal preferences. Remember, cooking is all about making a dish your own, so feel free to experiment with different herbs and spices. After stirring in your chosen herbs, give your sauce a taste. Does it need a bit more salt? Maybe a pinch of pepper? This is your chance to ensure your sauce is seasoned exactly to your liking. Now it's time to serve up this delightful concoction. The beauty of bolognese sauce is its versatility. It's a classic companion to tagliatelle, with the thick ribbons of pasta perfectly capturing the hearty sauce. Simply cook your pasta al dente, then ladle a generous helping of bolognese over the top. Finish it off with a sprinkle of grated cheese if you like. But don't limit yourself to pasta. This vegetarian bolognese is also a fantastic filling for lasagna. Layer it between sheets of pasta, alternating with bechamel sauce and a sprinkle of cheese. Bake it in the oven until it's bubbly and golden on top. And for those of you who like to plan ahead, this sauce freezes beautifully. So, you can make a big batch and have it on hand for those days when you don't have time to cook from scratch. You see, a classic vegetarian Bolognese sauce is not just a meal, it's an experience. It's the joy of cooking, the pleasure of eating, and the satisfaction of creating something delicious and nutritious from simple ingredients. So, go ahead, give it a try. Whether you're a seasoned vegetarian, a curious carnivore, or somewhere in between, this sauce is sure to please. And there you have it, a classic vegetarian Bolognese sauce, perfect for any pasta dish. So, that's how you make a classic vegetarian Bolognese sauce. We started with the basic ingredients, lentils or mushrooms as a meat substitute, sofrito made of celery, carrot and onion, tomato paste, wine and milk, or a plant-based alternative. Each ingredient was selected carefully to ensure a rich, robust flavor, true to the heart of Italian cuisine. In the cooking process, we began by sweating the sofrito, a technique that releases the aromatics, building a solid flavor base for our sauce. Then we added in our lentils or mushrooms, depending on your preference, each providing a unique texture and taste. Pouring in the wine next, we allowed it to reduce, intensifying the flavors before adding the tomato paste. Then, our sauce was left to simmer. This slow cooking process is crucial to meld the flavors together and achieve that deep, hearty taste we all love in a Bolognese. This sauce is versatile. It can be used in a variety of dishes. We showed it with tagliatelle, a traditional pairing, and even in a vegetarian lasagna. Now remember, cooking is a personal journey, so feel free to experiment with this recipe. Maybe add in some herbs or spices that you love, or try a different kind of wine. Perhaps you'd like to use a different pasta or even spiralized vegetables. The possibilities are endless. This classic vegetarian Bolognese is more than just a recipe. It's a celebration of plant-based goodness, a tribute to traditional Italian cooking, and an invitation to explore and create in your own kitchen. That's the beauty of cooking. It's a creative process, a way to express yourself, and of course, a delicious reward at the end. So go ahead, try this recipe, make it your own, and share the joy of cooking with others. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more vegetarian recipes. Bon appétit!